Hello everyone, I'm Morali, and today I want to talk about a video that I've been kind of threatening to do for quite a while now, but I want to talk about the stars and how the dragons might connect to it, and the Celestials who are in Cantha and who we're probably going to be seeing in the upcoming expansion. But before I get into that, I wanted to thank everyone for watching my roundup video and commenting on it and liking it. It's blown up, and even more than last time, so I just wanted to show my appreciation and say thank you very much. And if anyone is interested in me making another, maybe just a one long video on maybe another set of elite specializations, you can leave a comment below and let me know if that's an idea that you're interested in. We have done a lot of ideas. A lot of people have been chiming in on some new ideas that they had for it and stuff, so if you guys want me to do another video on that, I would be glad to do that. But with that being said, let's get right into it. Of course, I want to warn everyone that there is going to be spoilers for a lot of the story. So as always, if you haven't played through everything, you might not want to watch it, but I'm trying not to be super spoilerish in this and give too many things away. But I wanted to start out with the stars. So when Guild Wars 2 initially released, we had a regular night sky, but then after a while we had two stars that were added to the night sky. There was a bright red one and a bright orange one. Now, as far as I remember this, the red one was added after the defeat of Zaitan, and the orange one was added after the defeat of Mordremoth. Now, I could be wrong on this because I tried to do research on this and I tried to find out if there was a specific timeline on when these were added, but I can't find any posts on the forums or anything. I found a couple of people pointing these out, but no one pointed out that they were added after the release. The only video that I found was Wooden Potatoes. He made a video on it, but he didn't state anything on when they were added, and it seemed like a lot of people thought they were added at the same time. I have in my memory that they were added at different times, but I'm not 100% certain on this. But I think that there is some kind of connection to the dragons. These were added after the defeat of Zaitan, and there seems to be, why would they add these? Why would ArenaNet take the time to change the night sky to add these bright stars to them? So does it have anything to do with the dragons in particular? I think it does, and I think it actually speaks to something a lot deeper, because we have a lot of mentions about stars in connection with fighting the dragons. We have the song Fear Not This Night, that is the avatar of the pale tree singing to her children about not fearing the oncoming darkness, and does talk about the night sky and things like that. Then we have Turern. There's that famous quote that he says about dragons aren't stars in the sky, they can be counted. So, and we also have, you go into further dungeon stories and into the other side stories and stuff like that, and there's the Jotun path in the Ara explorable mode that at the end you get to see through the telescope, and you do see one of the stars disappear, or it turns into this black mist and kind of disappears or something, which is all super mysterious and stuff like that. So there's a lot of connections that I think that has to do with the stars and the dragons that we might not know. And there's actually a point where I was somewhat disappointed, because in season 4 we were going back to the Astralarium, and I thought that we would get some more clarity on this, but there doesn't seem to be any mention about something that has to do with things like that. There is a book in the Durman Priory in the archives that does talk about the rising of stars and the dragons, and there seems to be some kind of relation about that. But again, nothing really goes into details, nothing really tells us what the connection there is. But now going into Cantha, we have what is called the Celestials. The Celestials, when we first see them in factions in Guild Wars 1, they are only there to help us become closer to the stars, which is equal to becoming ascended. which lets you kind of see the unseen things, the things that are hiding. The Mersad were these magicians that hid behind this veil, and you were only able to see them if you had ascended. And same with Shiro being dead, he was able to hide himself away, and you weren't able to actually battle him unless you became ascended or closer to the stars. So you search for this oracle of the mists, and we all know that the mists are a very mysterious power, and they do have a lot of influence on a lot of different things, especially with the gods too, because they seem to be coming from the mists and be able to traverse the mists and things. And now the dragons are able to do that as well. We have seen it with Kralkatorrik. He's been opening portals and things like that, before he died. But that power must have passed on because, he got it from Balthazar, and then that power was absorbed by Aurene and probably some of the other dragons. So we'll probably see a lot more of that as well. But talking about the Oracle, so the Oracle, he is this mysterious character, and we don't really know too much about him. He kind of pops up this one time, and then at the end of the story he pops up one more time. Well, we don't know his story, but he introduces us to these 4 celestials that we have to fight in order to become closer to the stars. And the mission is kind of interesting because once you go and talk to the adept that's there, and he opens the portals for you to go into it, at first the sky is normal, but then once you step through the portal, the sky becomes all shimmery, purpley, like strange, like it looks like you're in a different dimension while you're fighting these celestials. So that's one strange thing that happens. Are you in a different parallel universe or something like that? No one knows, because once you go back to fighting in the quarter and you're just fighting the enemies there in that area, the sky is normal. So it's strange what happens with the sky when the celestials get summoned, so that there's another mystery right there. But then you fight these celestials and you learn their story beforehand. You can actually read about them, and what's really strange is that these celestials were people. They were humans, and they're now in these other forms. There's a turtle dragon, there's a dragon, which that's kind of important. There's a phoenix, and then there is a Kirin. And so now you fight these 4, and they come from the sky. You can see it. They kind of like drop, and once they're defeated, they spawn other ones that kind of come from the sky in their image and things like that. So it's kind of strange on what these celestial beings are. And my question here is, what's their connection with the Oracle? Who is the Oracle? Is he the guardian of these creatures, these people? I mean, they used to be people, but they're now creatures. Are they like higher beings? Are they like angels or something? Do they come from a celestial realm that they descend from? Or are they like actual stars in the sky that we summon down? So those are like just a few questions that I have there. Are we going to find out anything about this? Is the Oracle going to play a big role? In my mind, I think the Oracle might actually also be some kind of immortal being, because we don't know much about him. And is the Oracle of the Mist, is this a title that gets passed on? Is there other people that take the place of being the Oracle of the Mist? Or is it the same old man that we saw in Guild Wars 1? And he's some immortal being, maybe like the gods. Maybe he is some kind of, human god or something. Or he comes from wherever the gods came from. There's a lot of questions, clearly, about these celestials and what they have to do. And it kind of goes in conjunction with the stars. The dragons get defeated and we get new stars in the sky, and there's always mentions about the sky and the stars, and now we're fighting these celestials that clearly have some kind of meaning behind them. When you learn about their stories, the dragon, she was an empress, and then it's interesting. You can read about them, and they're just people, clearly, when you read through everything. But what does it all mean? And to kind of finish off this look at this mystery, I think we need to also ask ourselves what's going to happen once this conclusion between Jormag and Primordus and us, what's going to be the end game there? We don't have anyone that could possibly replace one of the two dragons. We don't, we had Oreen before when Kralkatorg was defeated. She absorbed his power and the world didn't fall apart, but we don't have that. Who's gonna take this energy? Is it gonna be just one of the other dragons again? Because that seems to make an imbalance, because we had, when Zaitan and Mordremoth got killed, we had entities that did take the power, but that clearly did not seem to help. You need to have an actual entity absorbing this power in order to keep the balance. So what's gonna happen there? We're talking about the expansion End of Dragons, so all the dragons will be gone. So what happens to this energy? What happens to the night sky? Are we gonna get more stars, or are dragons gonna die and we're gonna now see dragons in the night sky? Or what will happen with the things? And maybe does Oreen know more than she lets on? She seems to be kind of staying back a little bit, even with the new dragon response missions. She seems to kind of hold back and not want to exacerbate a lot of the things, but it just seems kind of strange that she hasn't really at all acted in any way that you would have expected her, because she probably knows something that we don't. And everything kind of comes together with, who is Mother? Is she omniscient, a being maybe that created the dragons, and only the dragons know about her because they're so powerful and so long-lived? Is she some kind of, maybe she's the Oracle? Maybe the Oracle is Mother, and Mother just takes the form of whatever they think. And when the dragons knew her, she was maybe a dragon, and then she took the form of a human, and she is guarding the Celestials, who are stars in the sky. I mean, these are all just theories that I have, but I think that there is a deeper story that ArenaNet could really build on and create something interesting. I would be very interested to see where the Celestials and that whole storyline goes, and even the storyline with Mother. Who does she turn out to be? Does she have anything to do with stars in the sky? I mean, everything points towards the stars in the sky being actual beings, or something of energy, something that's important. Maybe there is something like she's the sun, because that's a star too. So maybe Mother is the sun and there's more power in the sun, or something like that. But those are just a bunch of theories that I have, and a bunch of questions that I hope will get answered in End of Dragons, and I'm really looking forward to that part of the story. If you guys have any theories, any comments on that, please let me know. I would love to hear it. As you can tell, I have a lot of questions about those things, and I tried to do as much research as I could, and that's all I could pretty much find, but it leaves me with more questions than answers, really. And I would love to know if you guys have any more insight on that, but I will leave you with that, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.